live from the dining room, our dining room. This is our view out onto the street here in our new place in Sacramento. It truly is a beautiful morning. People are having their Halloween skeletons and decorations out and everything else. And I am speaking to you this morning from our dining room because it's Saturday and I was tired of sitting in my cold office in the dark. But anyway, hope you're having a good Saturday morning, everyone. And today I'm going to talk a bit, some more about the 3-degree initiation program, Qabalah initiation program, that's outlined in my book, The Son of Chicken Qabalah. We've talked about it before, but I thought I would sort of recap the method to the madness behind what a Qabalah initiation series or sequence might be about. And oh, there's people walking by. Hello. It's so pleasant here this morning. I wish it was just a little warmer. Anyway, this is a follow-up to the chicken Qabalah, and it came several years later. And I've got, of course, it is not my work, but the work of the pseudo-epigraphic me, Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford. And these 3 degrees of Qabalah initiation are intended to implant, in a very mystical and magical way, implant the dynamics, the essence, the seed, the germ of the Hebrew alphabet as an expression of universal consciousness, and implant it inside each individual. Why would you do that? Well, the rabbi tries to explain that in this very short chapter that I'm going to read to you this morning. Qabalah initiation, the method to the madness. It starts with a little epigram. Remember, again, I'm reading from Chicken Qabalah, son of Chicken Qabalah. It's the greatest paradox of Qabalah that study and practice are truly valuable only when you're already thinking like God. Wake up first, then study. Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford from the 1st degree lecture. The preceding quote is from the lecture section of Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford's 1st degree initiation ceremony. It succinctly summarizes the raison d'etre of his Qabalah initiation program. Ben Clifford observed that ancient techniques and materials used by religious or traditional Qabalah study programs, while being brilliant and profound for those who have already developed a significant degree of illumination, they nonetheless remain overwhelmingly complex and intimidating to all others who are less illuminated and still striving for that illumination. The emphasis of Ben Clifford's work at this level was not so much a matter of educating the unawakened student, but of awaking the student to be educated. The idea was to trigger the process by putting the student through a series of artfully designed emotional, psychological experiences that essentially mutate the individual on a subconscious level, a process known as initiation. Quote, Qabalah initiation is not a learning process, but a birthing process, the rabbi once wrote to Irish rock star and critic Rodney Orpheus. Quote, it is though I am dreaming, I am a soul who takes a magic pill that makes me pregnant. And my baby, when it is born, is me, the awakened me. Initiation is nothing new to the Western mystery school traditions. Indeed, it seems to be the very essence of the process employed by the Egyptian and Greek mystery schools and cults, going even further back into prehistory. A ladder? The great modern initiatory societies of the 18th and 19th and 20th centuries, including Freemasonry, Martinists, the Golden Dawn, and the AA, generally viewed this progressive series of awakenings as an ascent up the 10 Sephiroth, or emanations, on the familiar Kabbalistic schema, the Tree of Life. Rabbi Ben Clifford often referred to this diagram as, quote, a roadmap from Godhead to your head. The Tree of Life graphically illuminates the fundamental Kabbalistic doctrines first revealed in the Sefer Yetzirah, arguably the oldest and most venerable Kabbalistic texts. The rabbi's own fanciful, quote, translation, unquote, of the key sections of the text appear in the Chicken Qabalah. In the opening words, it reveals that, and this is a quote from the rabbi's own Sefer Yetzirah, deity created the universe with the help of three imaginary friends, numbers, letters, and words, in 32 mysterious paths of wisdom. They consist of 10 Sephiroth out of nothing and 22 letters. Unquote. The numbers are described as the path of a lightning flash that strikes down from the pure consciousness of Godhead, Sephirah 1, Kether, the crown, through the decaying levels of consciousness. That would be Sephiroth 2 through 9, until coming to a cosmic full stop at the lowest material level of unawakened humanity, Sephirah 10, Malkuth, the kingdom. While the great initiatory societies of the past did not realistically expect their members to immediately achieve the progressive higher levels of consciousness exemplified by each Sephirah, several prominent initiatory orders designed their dramatic graduated degree experiences as allegorical steps that ascend up the Tree of Life from Malkuth to Kether. They organized the structure of their initiations accordingly. The 22 letters mentioned in the Sefer Yetzirah are those of the sacred Hebrew alphabet. They represent the fundamental scaffolding of existence itself. When projected upon the tree, the letters represent 22 highly specialized facets of intelligence that serve as conduits between the Sephiroth, like electrical transformers that step up or step down the frequencies of consciousness of the Sephiroth they connect. While Ben Clifford acknowledged the genius of using this Tree of Life as a model for a series of mystical initiation ceremonies, for his order, he took a much more fundamental and perhaps more elegant approach to initiation. He began with the profound assumption that because the true, unadulterated consciousness of each human being is ultimately Godhead. Then Godhead already is our true and essential identity. We don't need to climb anywhere. Each of us is already number one on the tree of life. All the lower, sleepier levels of consciousness with which we may currently identify are illusionary, dream selves that we temporarily misidentify as our self. According to Ben Clifford, our initiatory journey, or our initial initiatory journey toward enlightenment is not a tree climbing exercise, but instead a simple process of remembering, reconnecting, reattuning, re-resonating with the primal pattern of who and what we already are. Ben Clifford attempted to illustrate this in his tuning fork parable. Here it is. For a moment, let's think of the supreme consciousness of Godhead as an infinitely loud musical note. Let's say A. This supreme A note is the vibration made by an infinitely huge mega A tuning fork. That is the source vibration of God's pure and absolute consciousness. Now, you and I, because we're made in the image of God, are also this divine A note. Only we express it individually, as if we had our own mini A tuning fork. Our true identity is the note, not the tuning fork. When we are fully awake, our personal private mini A tuning fork is all clean and shiny, and it vibrates in perfect sympathy and in perfect unison with God's great universal mega A, which sets it to eternal vibrating. So if you've ever held tuning forks, if you got a high A tuning fork in your hand and someone else has a low octave tuning fork over there across the room, and they strike their low A tuning fork, in just a short while, your little A tuning fork starts to vibrate. I'm digressing here, sorry about that. But in our unawakened dream state, our personal miniature tuning fork is not clean and shiny. It is rusted over by layer upon layer of dreams. With each build-up layer of dream rust, our mini tuning fork loses more and more of its true tone and perfect pitch. With each layer of rust, we fall deeper and deeper asleep to our true identity. We could attempt to remove the rust from the outside by trying to chip away bit by bit each layer of dream rust from our personal tuning forks. Indeed, that's exactly what our fellow Kabbalists have attempted to do for centuries. By using the hammer of intellect and the dull chisel of their dogma-restricted imaginations. This is really hard work, especially when we consider the fact that the workman doing all of this chiseling is still asleep, dreaming within layers of dreams far removed from the wise supervision of Godhead. Our process is different. Like King Solomon, who, when beginning the task of building the house of God, first entered into the presence of God, quote, in the presence of God, unquote, seeking only for wisdom. And of course, wisdom is number 2 on the tree of life above the abyss, supernal triad, the big tuning fork. We begin by allowing God's big tuning fork to do the hard work for us. We remove the rust by first triggering the primal vibration deep within ourselves, deep within our little rusted tuning fork, encouraging it to vibrate again in sympathy with the great mega note, the great genetic code of Godhead. We do this by persistent exposure to formulae of the universal mega note itself, until our tuning fork can no longer remain unresponsive to its true vibratory nature, until it answers the call and irresistibly begins to quiver and vibrate in perfect sympathy with God's great universal note, until the vibration becomes so intense and pure that every speck of dream rust, every veil of illusion is buzzed off the surface of our tuning fork and shed from our soul. What is the genetic code of God? What are the formulae of the universal mega note, whose exposure is going to set our little tuning fork a-tingling? You, my dear friend, your little tuning fork, you and your fork are the formula. You and the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet are the code. The 22 letters are alive and are the secret ingredient of a magic pill that, once swallowed, implants itself in the womb of your soul and makes you pregnant with the baby of your own awakened self. The genetic code of Godhead. In a letter written in 1984 to the hedge fund manager Jonathan Taylor, Ben Clifford wrote, "Dear Jonathan, you have written and told me you wish to be initiated into the mysteries of Qabalah. Let me respond by saying, I cannot do that. Only you can initiate yourself into the mysteries of Qabalah. However, all the tools necessary for you to do this are already in your hands. The 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and the mechanics of consciousness that they represent are the genetic code of Godhead. If you were fully awake, you would see this marvelous code working blissfully away like the components of a well-oiled machine of consciousness. But obviously you are not fully awake, otherwise you would not be mistakenly believing we're having this conversation. But the code is still hard at work at the heart of your existence. And if you really want to, you can reattune and recalibrate yourself to it. If you really want to be initiated into the mysteries of Qabalah, I advise you to immediately take steps to upgrade your hardware and reboot the operating system of your body and mind by forming healthy living habits. At the same time, you will need to consciously and willfully reprogram the software of your soul. Repair the dented and raggedy DNA of your slumbering soul by vaccinating yourself with injections of the pure genetic code of Godhead. Allow the code to crystallize itself in your blood. Once you're properly inoculated, the code will incubate, replicate, and grow. Eventually, the old you will mutate and become a new, more awake you. Go then, my son. Go forth and resonate, vibrate, and harmonize with the purity of the code. Allow its perfect melody to retune your laughably out-of-tune instrument. LMD. As the Hebrew alphabet was created in 3 stages, so too the rabbi's initiatory order was composed of 3 main degrees that exemplify in their turn the powers of the 3 mother letters, the 7 double letters, and the 12 simple letters. That's the initiatory program of the Son of Chicken Qabalah. It can be used as the script and the initiatory study material for a group working. As a matter of fact, right here in Sacramento, we've mounted all 3 degrees in a temple setting with officers, ritual officers, and all of that over like a weekend at a hotel down the street. It was wonderful, okay? It's been done in other places too as a group working. But it is also perfect, especially in these times of pandemic, is perfect for rituals of self-initiation. And if you don't have the Son of Chicken Qabalah, if you've already got the Chicken Qabalah and liked that and don't have this, I suggest that you get it and put yourself through the 3 degrees of self-initiation as outlined in Son of Chicken Qabalah. Also, I did it on the internet, okay, as a live 3-part Zoom presentation, which sort of mixes it's a combination of the group working, because you visually see in each 90-minute experience, you get to see it as if a group was giving it to you, and it's self-initiation. You do it at home and replay it over and over and over again. And I've put the links to the replay to those live Zoom presentations right here on my Facebook page. So you've got a smorgasbord of Chicken Qabalah initiation stuff right here on my page today. So if it seems like that's an interesting thing to do this weekend, I invite you to partake thereof. So until tomorrow in Sunday school, I don't know if I'm going to be doing it here from my dining room tomorrow, with Constance chopping away vegetables there in the kitchen, just right over that way. She won't let me show you. But anyway, continue to have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow for Sunday school. Until then, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will